This video found you for a reason. There's a book that exists beyond paper and ink, encoded not in symbols you read with your eyes, but in the very fabric of reality itself. A book written by Thoth, the ancient Egyptian master of wisdom, containing the language that bends matter, reshapes time, and commands the quantum field. And if you're watching this right now, it means you're ready to learn that language. The promise is simple but staggering. Your life is about to change so rapidly, so dramatically, that people around you will stop asking what you're doing and start calling you something else entirely. A wizard, a magnet, someone who makes impossible things look effortless. But before we unlock that power, you need to understand why everything you've tried until now hasn't worked, why your prayers went unanswered, why your visualizations fell flat, why your affirmations dissolved into empty words. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody told you. The universe never responded to what you asked for. It always responded to what you vibrated. And your vibration, that invisible energetic signature you're broadcasting every single second, has been your greatest saboteur. You've been speaking the wrong language, asking in words the universe doesn't understand, begging in a frequency that only attracts more reasons to beg. In the next few minutes, you won't get motivational fluff or recycled manifestation tips. You're going to receive the code, the exact mechanism by which your energy has been creating the opposite of what you desire, and the precise technique to reverse that pattern. What you're about to learn isn't the law of attraction as it's been watered down and sold to the masses. This is the physics of reality. Knowledge that's been hidden, distorted, and kept from you for millennia. And by the end of this audiobook, you'll understand why. If you felt the call to click on this video, if something deeper than curiosity brought you here, write in the comments, "My reality changes now." That simple declaration is the first act of the new language, the first conscious command you're sending to the field. It's not a wish, it's a seal. An energetic contract between your consciousness and the universe that says, "I'm ready. Show me the truth." Now let's begin with the fundamental lie you were taught. The lie that's been keeping you powerless your entire life. You were trained from childhood to see the universe as a vending machine. Insert the right prayer, press the right button of good behavior, wait patiently, and if you're lucky, maybe, just maybe, you'll get what you asked for. You spent years learning how to ask nicely, how to be deserving, how to prove yourself worthy of receiving. You crafted your desires with precision. You prayed with devotion. You tried to align your words just right, thinking that if you found the perfect phrase, the perfect ritual, the perfect moment, the universe would finally hear you and grant your wish. But that entire paradigm is built on a false premise. The premise that you are a separate, small being in a vast, indifferent cosmos, and that your job is to negotiate with external forces for scraps of what you want. That's not how reality works. The universe isn't an entity sitting on a throne judging your requests. It's not keeping score of your good deeds or testing your faith. The universe is a field, an infinite, intelligent, responsive field of pure energy that operates according to laws as precise and impersonal as gravity. It doesn't care about your words. It doesn't hear your prayers. It doesn't respond to your intentions or your hopes or your desperation. It responds to one thing only: your vibration. And here's where everything you thought you knew starts to crumble. Because vibration isn't what you think it is. It's not your positive thoughts or your optimistic outlook. It's not the affirmations you repeat or the vision board you stare at. Vibration is the total energetic emission of your entire being. It's the sum of your deepest beliefs, your unconscious emotions, your cellular memories, your nervous system state, and the frequency your body transmits every single moment. Think of yourself not as flesh and bone with a mind trapped inside, but as a living electromagnetic field, a broadcasting station emitting a signal 24/7 without pause. That signal is your vibrational signature, and it's telling the quantum field exactly who you are, what you believe about yourself, and what you expect from reality. Not through words, through frequency, through pure energy. This is the law. Thoth, encoded into the deepest layers of Hermetic wisdom, the law of vibration. Everything in existence, from the smallest subatomic particle to the largest galaxy, is in constant motion. Nothing is truly solid. Nothing is truly still. Everything vibrates, and everything vibrates at a specific frequency. You are vibrating right now. Your thoughts vibrate, your emotions vibrate, your cells vibrate. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body, and that field is broadcasting your true state to everyone and everything around you. The quantum field reads that broadcast with perfect accuracy. It doesn't interpret. It doesn't judge. It simply mirrors. If you're vibrating fear, it sends you experiences to be afraid of. If you're vibrating lack, it shows you evidence of scarcity. If you're vibrating unworthiness, it withholds what you desire because your frequency is saying, "I'm not the person who has that." And the field, being a perfect reflection mechanism, responds with absolute precision. Understood. You won't receive it. This is why people who live in chronic anxiety keep attracting chaotic situations, why those who vibrate resentment keep encountering people who hurt them, why individuals stuck in scarcity consciousness work themselves to exhaustion and still can't get ahead. It's not bad luck. It's not karma. It's not the universe punishing them. It's the law of vibration operating flawlessly, mirroring their dominant frequency back to them with brutal honesty. And here's the part that will either wake you up or offend you. Your conscious mind, the part of you that wants success, love, abundance, that part is not in charge. It's not running the show. It's the passenger, not the driver. The driver is your subconscious. The deep programming installed in your nervous system through years of conditioning, trauma, and survival adaptation. And that programming is broadcasting a frequency that overrides every conscious intention you set. You can say 1,000 affirmations about wealth, but if your body is vibrating the tension of financial fear, if your subconscious holds a belief that money is evil or that rich people are corrupt, if your nervous system is wired to expect struggle, then your dominant signal is poverty. And the universe, reading that signal, will keep collapsing experiences of lack into your reality. Not because you're cursed, because you're broadcasting lack as your primary frequency. The central problem, the root cause of all human frustration with manifestation is this. Your conscious desire and your unconscious vibration are at war. Your mind wants one thing. Your energy is transmitting the opposite. And since the quantum field responds to energy, not wishful thinking, you keep getting the opposite of what you want. You keep asking for love while vibrating loneliness, asking for success while vibrating inadequacy, asking for peace while vibrating chaos. This is the dissonance that's been sabotaging you. The split between what you think you want and what your entire being is actually declaring. You're sending two signals at once, and the stronger signal, the one rooted in emotion and cellular memory, is the one the universe obeys. This isn't failure. This isn't proof you're broken. This is physics. And once you understand the physics, you can work with it instead of against it. Thoth knew this. Every ancient master who touched true power knew this. They understood that reality doesn't bend to the will of the mind. It bends to the coherence of the field. And coherence means alignment. It means your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and your actions all vibrating at the same frequency. When that happens, when there's no more internal war, when your entire being becomes one unified signal, that's when the universe stops resisting and starts conspiring. But achieving that coherence requires something most people never do. It requires you to stop focusing on what you want and start investigating what you're actually broadcasting. It requires you to stop trying to change the outside world and start examining the internal frequency that's creating it. Because here's the final piece of this foundational truth. The outside world is not the problem. Your job is not to fix it. Your relationship is not the issue. Your bank account is not the root cause. Those are effects, not causes. The cause, the origin point of every experience you're having, is your vibrational state. And your vibrational state is determined by one thing most people completely ignore. Something that's been transmitting your truth the entire time you've been lying to yourself with pretty thoughts and positive affirmations. The one thing that cannot lie. The one place where your real frequency lives. Your body. Your mind is a master illusionist. It can convince you of anything. It can build elaborate stories to explain away your failures. It can rationalize why you're not where you want to be. It can tell you you're confident while terror grips your chest. It can claim you've forgiven while rage burns in your gut. The mind's a politician, always spinning, always performing, always presenting the version of you that seems acceptable. But your body doesn't play that game. Your body is the truth teller, the witness, the recorder of every unprocessed emotion, every suppressed fear, every buried trauma. And it's broadcasting that truth to the quantum field every single second. That knot in your stomach when you think about money? That's the frequency of scarcity being transmitted. The tension in your shoulders that never goes away. That's the frequency of burden and responsibility being emitted. The tightness in your throat when you need to speak your truth. That's the frequency of repression broadcasting loud and clear. Your body is the antenna. And if you want to change what you're manifesting, if you want to finally speak the language the universe understands, you have to start with the antenna. You have to learn to read the signals it's been sending. You have to understand that every physical sensation, every ache, every tension is not just a random occurrence. It's information, data about your vibrational state. A message from your deeper self showing you exactly where your energy is stuck, where your frequency is distorted, and what needs to be cleared before you can broadcast the signal of your desires. This is where the real work begins. Not in your head, not in your thoughts, in your body, in the cells that hold the memory of every moment you've lived. And until you learn to speak to your body, to listen to what it's telling you, to release the density stored in your tissues, you will continue broadcasting the same old frequency, and the universe will continue mirroring that frequency back to you with perfect, unwavering accuracy. But here's the promise. When you learn to clear the antenna, when you learn to align your body's frequency with your conscious desire, when you become a coherent signal instead of a conflicted mess of contradictions, reality bends. Fast, dramatically, undeniably. Because you're finally speaking the language the universe has been listening to all along. The language of energy. The language of vibration. The language Thoth encoded into existence itself. And that language has rules. Laws. Mechanics that, once understood, give you power you didn't know was possible. Power to command instead of beg. Power to create instead of hope. Power to be the wizard everyone starts calling you. But first, you need to meet the hidden force that's been controlling your frequency without your knowledge. The invisible architect of your reality. The guardian at the gates of your subconscious. And once you see it, once you understand how it's been operating, everything changes. There's a force inside you that's been running your life since childhood. A silent program operating in the background of your consciousness. Making decisions, filtering reality, and determining what you're allowed to experience. You've never met it consciously. You've never had a conversation with it, but it's been in control the entire time. And until you understand how it works, you'll remain trapped in patterns you can't seem to break, no matter how hard you try. This force has a name. The ancient Egyptians called it the Watcher at the Gates. Thoth referred to it as the guardian of the threshold. Today, we'll call it what it is, the pattern guardian. And it's the reason why every time you try to change, every time you reach for something better, you mysteriously sabotage yourself and fall back to exactly where you started. Here's how it was created. In the early years of your life, your subconscious mind was like a sponge, absorbing every experience without filters or critical thinking. It was learning one thing above all else: how to keep you safe, how to ensure your survival. And it did this by creating a map of reality based on what it observed. If being loud got you punished, the guardian learned that silence equals safety. If trusting people led to betrayal, it learned that suspicion equals protection. If trying new things brought failure and humiliation, it learned that staying small equals survival. These lessons became programs, automatic responses wired into your nervous system. And the guardian's job is to enforce them, to make absolutely certain you never deviate from what it considers safe. Because to the guardian, safe doesn't mean happy or fulfilled. Safe means familiar. Safe means known. Safe means you've survived this before, so you can survive it again. This is why people stay in toxic relationships, why they remain in jobs they hate, why they never pursue their dreams even when they have the resources and opportunity. The guardian sees any change, any step into the unknown, as a potential threat to survival, and it will do everything in its power to prevent that step, not because it hates you, because it loves you, because its entire purpose is to protect you from what it perceives as danger. But here's the devastating truth. The guardian's definition of danger is completely outdated. It's operating from information gathered decades ago by a child who didn't have the capacity to understand what was really happening. That child didn't know that their parents' anger wasn't their fault. That child didn't understand that one failure doesn't define a lifetime. That child couldn't see that abandonment doesn't mean they're unlovable. So the guardian built its safety protocols based on misinterpretations and survival fears. And now, years later, those protocols are still running, still dictating what you're allowed to want, still shutting down opportunities before you even recognize them, still whispering in your mind with thoughts that feel like your own. This is too risky. You're not ready. People like us don't get things like that. It's safer to stay where you are. And the most insidious part? The guardian is invisible. It doesn't announce itself. It operates through thoughts that seem rational, feelings that seem real, and circumstances that seem like bad luck. You think you're making conscious choices, but most of the time, you're just following the script the guardian wrote for you long ago. A script designed to keep you exactly where you are, because where you are is familiar, and familiar equals safe. This is the hidden architecture of your repetitive reality. You keep attracting the same type of partner because the guardian knows that pattern. You keep hitting the same income ceiling because the guardian is terrified of the responsibility that more money would bring. You keep abandoning your goals right before success because the guardian associates visibility with danger. Fighting the guardian directly doesn't work. Trying to override it with willpower only creates internal war, because the guardian is part of you. Fighting it is fighting yourself. The key isn't to destroy it. The key is to bring it into the light, to make its operations visible, because the guardian's greatest power is its invisibility. It can only control you when it operates in the shadows of your unconscious. And there's one tool that exposes the guardian with perfect accuracy, a mirror so precise, so honest, that it shows you every hidden program, every limiting belief, every fear-based protocol the guardian is running. That mirror is your external reality. Everything happening in your life right now is a reflection of what the guardian has been broadcasting on your behalf. And when you learn to read that reflection correctly, you gain the power to rewrite the program. Most people see the external world as separate from themselves. They believe they're a subject moving through an objective reality, dealing with circumstances that happen to them or against them. This perception of separation is the fundamental illusion, the one that keeps you feeling powerless, the one that makes you a victim of your own life. But the Hermetic principle that Thoth encoded into reality states clearly, as within, so without. What's happening inside you creates what happens around you. Your internal state generates your external circumstances. The world you experience is not objective. It's a holographic projection of your consciousness, a perfect mirror reflecting your beliefs, your emotions, your unconscious programming back to you in physical form. That person who keeps disrespecting you, they're not the problem. They're the mirror showing you where you disrespect yourself. The financial struggle that won't resolve no matter what you do. That's not bad luck. It's the mirror reflecting a deep belief in unworthiness or a subconscious fear of what wealth would require from you. The relationship that ended in betrayal? Not a random act of cruelty. A mirror showing you where you've been betraying yourself, abandoning your own needs, ignoring your own truth. This isn't victim blaming. This is power reclamation. Because if your external reality is a mirror of your internal state, then you're not powerless. You're not at the mercy of circumstances. You're the artist, and everything you see is your canvas. The problem has never been out there. The problem has always been in here, in the projector, in the frequency you're broadcasting, in the programs the Guardian is running. When you truly grasp this, when you shift from seeing the world as something that happens to you to seeing it as something you're creating, the entire game changes. You stop trying to fix the reflection. You stop attempting to change people, control situations, manipulate outcomes. You turn your attention inward, to the beliefs generating the projection, to the emotions fueling the broadcast, to the Guardian's programs determining what you're allowed to experience. Every person who triggers you is a teacher. Every situation that frustrates you is a lesson. Every circumstance you keep encountering is a message from your deeper self, showing you exactly where your energy is stuck, where your vibration is distorted, where the Guardian is running an outdated program that no longer serves you. The mirror doesn't lie. It can't. It's showing you the truth you've been avoiding. And the most shocking part, most of your spiritual practices, all the personal development work you've been doing, it might actually be reinforcing the problem. Because if you're meditating to escape anxiety instead of to transform it, you're resisting the mirror. If you're doing affirmations from a place of desperate lack, you're arguing with the reflection. If you're trying to manifest abundance while vibrating scarcity, you're still feeding the Guardian's program. This brings us to the most popular manifestation tool in the world, the practice millions of people swear by: visualization. You've been told that if you picture your desired reality clearly enough, feel it intensely enough, the universe will deliver it. But there's a hidden trap in this practice, one that keeps most people stuck in an endless loop of wanting without receiving. And understanding this trap is crucial before we move to the real technique. Visualization is a double-edged sword. Used correctly, it's powerful. Used from the wrong frequency, it becomes a weapon against yourself. And here's the part nobody tells you. The frequency you visualize from determines everything. If you sit down to visualize your dream life from a state of lack, from a feeling of, I don't have this, you're not programming success. You're programming more lack. Think about it. Every time you close your eyes and picture the perfect relationship, what emotion accompanies that image? If it's longing, if it's sadness about your current loneliness, if it's frustration that you're still single, then you're not emitting the frequency of love. You're emitting the frequency of absence. Every visualization session becomes a reinforcement of what you don't have. The quantum field doesn't respond to the picture in your mind. It responds to the emotion in your body. And if that emotion is lack, if it's desperation, if it's the pain of not having, then that's what gets amplified. That's what gets mirrored back. You're essentially telling the universe, look at this beautiful thing I'm missing. And the universe responds, understood. You want more experiences of missing beautiful things. This is why people visualize for years without results. They're not manifesting from alignment. They're manifesting from separation. They're putting their desired reality on a pedestal in some distant future and reinforcing the gap between here and there. Instead of bringing the future into the present, they're pushing it further away with every longing glance. The guardian loves this trap, because visualization from lack keeps you safely stuck in wanting. You're focused on the goal, on the dream, on the image of what could be, which means you're not present. You're not here. You're not dealing with what needs to be healed now. You're escaping into fantasy instead of transforming reality. And the guardian can relax because you're not actually threatening the familiar pattern. You're just daydreaming about escape. True manifestation doesn't come from visualizing what you want. It comes from embodying who you'd be if you already had it. Not the excitement of getting, the calm certainty of being. This is the shift Thoth taught. From mental imagination to vibrational embodiment, from thinking about the future to becoming it in the present. When you embody, you're not creating something new. You're tuning into a version of reality that already exists in the quantum field. There's a reality where you're already wealthy, one where you're already loved, one where you're already healthy. These aren't fantasies. They're parallel possibilities, and your vibrational frequency determines which one you experience. The question isn't, how do I get there? The question is, who would I be if I were already there? How would that version of me feel in their body? What would their default state be? Not the temporary high of receiving something. The steady, grounded, certain state of already being someone. That's the frequency that creates. Not hoping, not wishing, not visualizing from lack, being, embodying. Becoming the vibrational match to your desired reality right now, regardless of what your current circumstances show. And when you hold that frequency consistently, when your body believes it, when the guardian stops resisting it, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around your new state. But to maintain that state, to truly embody it, you need to speak a language even more fundamental than thought or image. You need to access the language Thoth used to influence reality at its deepest level. The language that organizes matter, that commands the quantum field, that the universe recognizes instantly and obeys without question. And that language isn't spoken with your mind. It's transmitted through your heart. We've reached the core of the mystery, the exact mechanism that makes energy manipulation possible. Everything we've covered until now, the law of vibration, your body as antenna, the pattern guardian, the external mirror, all of it has been leading to this moment. Because there's a language that exists beneath thought, beneath words, beneath even visualization. A language so fundamental, so powerful, that when you speak it correctly, reality has no choice but to respond. This is the language Thoth used. The language ancient masters knew. The language modern science is only beginning to validate. It's not spoken with your voice. It's not formed in your mind. It's transmitted through your heart. And it's called coherent emotion. Here's what most people don't understand about emotions. They're not just feelings. They're not just psychological states. Emotions are energy in motion. They're electromagnetic frequencies that your body generates and broadcasts into the quantum field. And depending on the coherence of that frequency, on how organized and stable it is, your broadcast either commands reality or gets lost in static. Think of it this way. Most people emit emotion like an old light bulb. Scattered energy radiating weakly in all directions. Conflicting desires. Mixed feelings. Contradictory beliefs. The signal is messy, chaotic. And the universe, receiving that jumbled transmission, sends back a jumbled reality. Confusion. Delays. Mixed results. Nothing clear, nothing stable. But when you generate coherent emotion, when your heart and mind lock into the same frequency, when there's no internal conflict, no doubt contaminating the signal, something extraordinary happens. You become a laser, a focused beam of pure intention cutting through the noise of the quantum field and imprinting your desired reality with precision and power. Modern science, through institutes like HeartMath, has proven this. When you feel genuine gratitude, unconditional love, deep appreciation, or absolute certainty, your heart produces a measurable, coherent wave pattern. The electromagnetic field generated by your heart, which is thousands of times stronger than your brain's field, becomes organized, harmonious, stable. And that coherence creates a carrier wave strong enough to influence matter itself. This is the language of energy. Not what you think about gratitude, not the mental concept of love, but the actual, physical, embodied state of those frequencies. When you become gratitude, when every cell in your body vibrates appreciation, when your entire being radiates certainty, you're speaking directly to the quantum field in the only language it understands: pure, coherent vibration. And the field responds instantly, not because you asked nicely, not because you deserved it, but because coherent emotion is a command. It's an organizing force. It tells the field exactly what pattern to collapse into physical form. There's no ambiguity, no mixed signals. Just clear, powerful instruction. This is why people who master this language seem to manifest miracles, why synchronicities surround them, why doors open effortlessly. They're not lucky. They're coherent. They've learned to generate and sustain the frequency of their desired reality so consistently, so powerfully, that the universe has no option but to mirror it back. But here's where most people stumble. They touch this state once, maybe during a meditation or a moment of genuine joy, and they feel its power. They sense the shift. And then immediately a voice appears, a whisper so subtle, so reasonable sounding, that they don't recognize it as the enemy. The voice says, "This is too good to be true. Can you really maintain this? What if it doesn't last?" That voice is doubt, and doubt is the silent spell, the frequency that cancels creation the moment it's transmitted. Because here's what doubt actually is energetically. It's an anti-wave. Imagine you've just sent out a powerful, coherent frequency carrying the blueprint of your desired reality. That wave is moving through the quantum field, organizing matter, aligning circumstances. And then you doubt. In that instant, you emit a frequency of equal strength but opposite polarity. The two waves meet, they collide, and they cancel each other out. Total neutralization. The manifestation process stops. Not because the universe changed its mind, but because you sent a cancel command. You told the field, actually never mind. I don't believe that's possible for me. This is the most devastating form of self-sabotage. You do all the work. You generate the coherence, you speak the language correctly, and then you undo it all with a single moment of doubt. And the cruelest part? Doubt disguises itself as wisdom, as realism, as protecting yourself from disappointment. The pattern guardian uses doubt as its final weapon because it's so effective and so invisible. People think they're being smart by questioning whether their manifestation will really happen. They think they're being mature by not getting their hopes up. But what they're actually doing is using their creative power against themselves. They're commanding the universe to pause, to wait, to hold back. And the universe, being a perfect mirror, obeys. The antidote to doubt isn't positive thinking. It's not trying to suppress the doubtful thoughts when they arise. Fighting doubt gives it energy. Resisting it validates its existence. The real solution is observation without identification. When doubt appears, and it will, you don't jump into the boat with it. You watch it float by. You acknowledge it. Ah, there's doubt. Hello, old pattern. And then you redirect your attention back to certainty, back to coherence, back to the frequency you're choosing to hold. This requires a new kind of discipline. Not the discipline of force, but the discipline of attention. Because attention is everything. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, reality grows. If your attention stays locked on doubt, on fear, on worst-case scenarios, that's where your energy goes. That's what gets amplified. That's what manifests. But if you catch the doubt, observe it without feeding it, and consciously choose to return your attention to the feeling of certainty, to the coherent emotion of your desire already fulfilled, you starve the doubt. You withdraw its power, and you reinforce the frequency you actually want to broadcast. However, maintaining this attention, holding this focus in the chaos of daily life, requires an anchor. Something that roots you in the only place where your creative power actually exists. Because your mind will try to pull you into the past, into regret and analysis of what went wrong. It will try to drag you into the future, into anxiety and planning for what might go wrong. And every moment you spend in past or future is a moment you're not creating, because creation only happens now. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. The only point where energy becomes matter, where vibration collapses into form, where your frequency actually broadcasts into the field, is this present moment, the eternal now. And to access your full power, you need to learn how to stay here, anchored, grounded, present. The most powerful tool for this, the one technique that works instantly every time, is your breath. Your breath is the bridge between your conscious mind and your unconscious body. It's the physical connection between the visible and invisible worlds, and it's the anchor that can pull you out of mental time travel and root you firmly in the now. Try it right now. Stop reading for a moment and take one full conscious breath. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils. Feel your lungs expanding. Feel the warm air leaving. What happened to your anxiety about the future in that moment? What happened to your regret about the past? They disappeared. Because in the space of conscious breathing, only the present exists. This is your reset button. Available every second of every day. When you notice yourself spiraling into doubt, breathe. When the guardian's voice starts screaming warnings, breathe. When you catch yourself vibrating fear or lack, breathe. One conscious breath brings you back to center, back to now, back to the only point where you have creative power. And from that centered place, from that state of presence anchored by breath, you can make a choice. The most important choice you'll ever make. You can choose which frequency to hold, which state to embody, which reality to tune into. Not through force, not through trying, through simple conscious selection. This is where manifestation stops being something you do and becomes something you are. You're no longer chasing a future state. You're embodying it now. Not pretending, not faking. Actually generating the frequency of your desired reality in your body, in this moment, and sustaining it through conscious attention and breath. But even with coherence, even with doubt managed, even with presence anchored through breath, there's still one practice that accelerates everything. One specific frequency that unlocks the quantum field faster than any other. A frequency so powerful that when you generate it authentically, reality reorganizes itself almost immediately. And most people have been practicing it completely wrong. The frequency we're about to explore isn't the gratitude you've been taught. It's not the mental exercise of listing things you're thankful for. It's not the polite thank you offered after receiving something. What Thoth encoded, what the ancient masters practiced, what unlocks the quantum field faster than any other frequency, is something entirely different. It's embodied, anticipatory gratitude. And it's the ultimate hack in the language of energy. Most people practice reactive gratitude. They look at their current reality and find things to appreciate. I'm grateful for my health, my family, my home. This has value. It trains your attention toward the positive, but it's limited because you're only grateful for what already exists. You're acknowledging the past and present. You're not commanding the future. True creative gratitude works in reverse. It's not gratitude for what you have. It's gratitude for what you already are, in a reality your physical eyes haven't seen yet. It's feeling, in every cell of your body, the overwhelming emotion of thankfulness for your desired outcome as if it's already happened. Not hoping it will happen, not wishing it would happen. Vibrating as though it's done. This creates a paradox in the quantum field, because the universe operates on cause and effect. Something happens, and then you respond with gratitude. But when you generate genuine gratitude, deep, authentic thankfulness in your body, before the physical manifestation appears, you're sending the effect before the cause. You're broadcasting the emotional signature of having already received. And the quantum field, detecting this effect without its corresponding cause, must resolve the equation. It's compelled by its own laws to manifest the cause, to create the circumstances that match your grateful state. You're not asking, you're not begging, you're declaring completion. And the universe, reading that declaration, responds by delivering what you've already claimed through your frequency. This is why embodied gratitude works so fast. You're not creating desire, which vibrates lack. You're creating confirmation, which vibrates certainty. Thank you becomes the most powerful phrase in existence. Not thank you for what might come. Thank you for what is already mine. Thank you for what I am already experiencing in the field, even if my physical reality hasn't caught up yet. To practice this, you don't visualize what you want and then try to feel grateful. You become the person who already has it. You find the steady state, the calm certainty, the natural ease of someone who's already living that reality. How would you feel if you woke up tomorrow and your desire was fulfilled? Not the initial shock or excitement. The settled feeling 3 months later. The simple, grounded knowing that this is your life now. Feel that in your body. Let it saturate your cells, and from that state, let gratitude rise naturally. Not forced, not performed. Genuine thankfulness for the state of being you're already occupying energetically. Thank you for this peace. Thank you for this freedom. Thank you for this love. Not in the future. Now, already received. Already real. This embodied gratitude dissolves doubt at its root. Because how can you doubt something you're genuinely grateful for? You don't doubt the sunrise. You don't doubt gravity. You simply know. And when your gratitude reaches that level of knowing, you've locked into the frequency of manifestation. You're no longer in the game of hoping. You're in the state of having. But here's what nobody warns you about. The moment you lock into this new frequency, the moment your vibration shifts dramatically, reality has to reorganize itself to match. And that reorganization doesn't always look pretty. In fact, it often looks like everything is falling apart. This is what Thoth called the bridge of incidents. And crossing it successfully determines whether your new reality manifests or you fall back into the old pattern. Imagine you've been living in a house built on the foundation of your old frequency. Relationships based on your former identity. A job that matched your previous limitations. Habits aligned with who you used to be. That entire structure was stable because it resonated with your old vibration. But now you've changed the frequency. You're broadcasting a completely different signal, and everything built on the old foundation can no longer stand. So, it begins to crumble. Relationships that were comfortable suddenly become unbearable. The job you tolerated now feels suffocating. Patterns you could ignore now scream for attention. This isn't punishment. This isn't the universe testing you. This is demolition. The old structure being cleared to make space for the new. At the same time, strange things start happening. Unexpected opportunities appear. New people show up. Synchronicities multiply. Resources arrive from directions you never anticipated. These are the materials for your new reality being delivered. But they look unfamiliar. They don't match your old life. And this is where most people panic. The pattern guardian goes into overdrive. It sees the familiar collapsing and interprets it as danger. It screams, "I told you this wouldn't work. Look, everything's falling apart. Go back. Return to safety." And many people, frightened by the chaos, do exactly that. They abandon the new frequency. They grab onto the debris of their old life. They abort the transformation right before breakthrough. Crossing the bridge successfully requires one thing: trust. Not blind faith. Not hope. But the unshakable knowing that everything falling away is making space for what's coming. That every door closing is forcing you toward the one that's opening. That the chaos isn't failure. It's transition. It's the gap between what was and what's becoming. This is where your practice of presence, of breath, of coherent emotion becomes crucial. When the chaos arrives, you don't fight it. You don't cling to what's leaving. You breathe. You return to center. You feel the gratitude for what's on its way, even though you can't see it yet. You hold the frequency even when everything around you seems to contradict it. And here's the secret about the bridge. The faster you can release what's falling away, the faster you cross. Every moment you spend trying to hold on to the old life, trying to force closed doors to reopen, trying to make obsolete relationships work, you extend the chaos. You delay your arrival. But when you trust the process, when you let go with grace, when you maintain your frequency despite the external turbulence, the bridge shortens. The transition accelerates. And then one day, often when you least expect it, you wake up and realize you're no longer on the bridge. You've arrived. The chaos has settled, and you're living in a new landscape. New circumstances, new opportunities, new people. A reality that matches the frequency you've been holding. Not because you forced it, because you became it. This is the moment when practice dissolves into being, when manifestation stops being something you do and becomes what you are. You're no longer trying to be abundant. You simply are. You're no longer attempting to embody love. You exist as love. The frequency of your desired reality isn't something you maintain anymore. It's your default state, your natural vibration. This is the final stage of inner alchemy, identity transformation at the deepest level. You've transmuted the lead of your old self into the gold of your true nature. And from this place, from this state of being, creation becomes passive, effortless. You don't chase manifestations. They flow to you naturally because you are the vibration they resonate with. Your presence alone becomes influential. When you walk into a room, the energy shifts. People feel calmer around you. Conversations become more harmonious. Situations resolve themselves. Not because you're doing anything, because your coherent field naturally organizes everything it touches into higher order. You've become a tuning fork for reality, and everything in your vicinity begins to vibrate at your frequency through resonance. This is true power, not control over others, not manipulation of circumstances, but the natural influence of a being who's aligned with Source, with truth, with the fundamental frequency of creation itself. At this stage, the law of attraction reverses. You no longer attract what you want. You attract what you are. And because you are wholeness, certainty, abundance, love, that's what magnetizes to you. The right people appear without searching. Resources flow from unexpected sources. Doors open before you knock. Life stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a dance. But even here, even in this state of mastery, there's one final frequency to discover. One last language. The deepest, most powerful form of communication with the quantum field. And it's not a frequency you generate. It's a frequency you become when you finally stop trying. When all effort ceases, when even gratitude dissolves into something beyond emotion, it's the language of silence, and it's where true magic lives. Beyond emotion, beyond vibration, beyond even the coherent frequencies we've mastered, There exists a language so pure, so fundamental, that it requires nothing. No effort, no practice, no technique. It's the language of inner silence. And it's the 0 point from which all creation emerges. This isn't the silence of an empty mind. It's not the absence of thought achieved through meditation. This is a different quality of stillness altogether. It's the silence of absolute knowing. The quiet that needs no confirmation because it is confirmation. The stillness of someone who's stopped asking, stopped seeking, stopped trying, because they finally remembered who they are. When you reach this place, your entire relationship with manifestation transforms. You're no longer generating frequencies to attract outcomes. You've become the field itself. You're not broadcasting a signal to the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself through the lens of your awareness. The separation dissolves completely, and from that dissolution, something impossible becomes natural. You command reality not through action, but through existence. This is what Thoth meant when he spoke of the silent word, the unspoken power that moves mountains without effort. It's the frequency of being so aligned with Source, so merged with the fundamental fabric of existence, that your mere presence reorganizes reality. You don't need to visualize. You don't need to feel gratitude. You don't need to do anything. You simply are. And that is enough. In this state, your intentions are no longer requests or commands. They're pulses of pure consciousness emanating from the void of your center. Like a master archer who's practiced so long that aiming becomes unnecessary, you release your intention effortlessly, and it finds its target with perfect precision. Not because you guided it, because you and the target are no longer separate. This is the frequency beyond frequency. The language beyond language. And accessing it doesn't require more learning. It requires less. It requires stripping away everything you think you need to do until only your essential nature remains. The being that exists before thought, before identity, before even the concept of self. Most people never reach this place because they're afraid of the emptiness. They mistake the void for absence when it's actually presence in its purest form. They fear the silence because in it, the ego dissolves, and the ego has convinced them that without it, they'll cease to exist. But the opposite is true. Only when the ego dissolves do you discover what you actually are, not a small separate self trying to survive in a hostile universe, but consciousness itself, infinite, eternal, creative. From this recognition, from this remembering, everything shifts. Life stops being about getting things and becomes about expressing essence. You no longer want abundance because you recognize yourself as the source of abundance. You don't seek love because you understand you are love. The searching ends. The striving ceases. And in that cessation, you find the peace you've been chasing your entire life. This is the ultimate revelation. The secret hidden in plain sight. The book you've been seeking was never external. There was never an ancient text locked away in some forbidden library. The book is you. Your body is the pages. Your emotions are the ink. Your frequency is the language. And your consciousness is both the author and the reader. Every experience you've had was a chapter. Every challenge was a lesson. Every moment of suffering was a passage you needed to write to understand the joy. You've been writing this book your entire life. And now, finally, you're learning to read it, to see the patterns, to understand the code, to recognize that everything that happened to you was happening for you. Preparing you for this moment, this awakening. Thoth didn't leave the instruction manual because giving you the answers would have stolen your power. Instead, he encoded clues throughout reality, signs embedded in nature, patterns woven into the fabric of existence, a vibrational map designed to guide you back to yourself. And the treasure at the end of this journey was never outside, it was always inside. Buried beneath layers of conditioning, hidden under programs of fear, waiting for you to remember. You are the language of energy. You are the vibrational code. You are the living, breathing manifestation of consciousness exploring itself. And when you truly grasp this, when you feel it in every cell of your being, manipulation of energy stops being something you do and becomes what you are. You're not learning a power external to yourself. You're reclaiming the power that's always been yours, the power to create, to transform, to shape reality through the simple act of being. This is why people will call you a wizard. Not because you've gained something new, because you've remembered something ancient. The truth that consciousness creates reality, that you are not in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself in human form, and from that recognition, everything becomes possible. So what happens now? How do you live from this place? The answer is beautifully simple. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop trying to be anything other than what you are. You wake up each morning and make one choice, the only choice that matters. You decide which frequency you'll embody today, which state of being you'll express, which reality you'll tune into, not through effort, through conscious selection. Today, I am the frequency of joy. Today, I embody peace. Today, I express abundance. You set the intention, you become the vibration, and then you release. You don't chase manifestations, you don't check for results, you don't doubt whether it's working. You simply live, fully present, totally alive, trusting that the universe, which is inseparable from you, is orchestrating everything perfectly. Life becomes a dance instead of a battle, a creative expression instead of a survival mission. You stop reacting to circumstances and start choosing your response to each moment. You stop being blown by the winds of external events and become the still center around which everything moves. The eye of the hurricane. Calm, centered, unshakable. And from this center, your reality transforms. Not slowly, not gradually, rapidly, dramatically, undeniably. Because you're no longer vibrating the old frequency. You're no longer broadcasting the signal of limitation. You've become the living embodiment of your highest potential. And the quantum field, which has been waiting for you to claim this power, responds with immediate precision. Doors open that were previously invisible. People appear who perfectly match your new vibration. Resources flow that you never imagined possible. Solutions emerge to problems you hadn't even articulated. Not through luck, not through coincidence, through resonance, through the law that states, as within, so without. You changed the within. The without had no choice but to reorganize itself accordingly. This is the promise Thoth made, the promise I made at the beginning of this audiobook. Your life will change so fast that people around you will call you a wizard. Not because you've tricked them, because you've mastered the language they don't understand, the language of energy, the language of vibration, the language of consciousness itself. And now you know it too. Every word in this audiobook was designed to activate something in you, to remind you of what you've always known but forgot, to guide you back to your power. And if you've made it this far, if you've stayed present through this entire journey, something in you has shifted. A frequency has changed. A code has been unlocked. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it become another piece of information filed away in your mind? Or will you live it? Will you embody it? Will you become it? Because knowing without being is useless. Understanding without transformation is meaningless. The only thing that matters now is whether you'll take this language and speak it with your life. If you're ready, if something in these words awakened a recognition in your soul, write in the comments, "My reality changes now." That declaration is more than words. It's a vibrational seal, a contract between your consciousness and the quantum field. It says, I have remembered. I'm ready. Show me what's possible. And to support this channel, to help spread this knowledge to others who are ready to wake up, there's a link in the first pinned comment where you can contribute. Any support helps us continue creating content like this. But just by watching until the end, you've already helped. And if this message resonated, share it with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's ready to remember. Before you go, there's a special video I've selected for you. Click on it now. It's the next step in this journey. Don't ignore this call. Your transformation is just beginning. Welcome home, wizard. Welcome to your power. Welcome to the truth. You are the book. You are the language. You are the energy. And reality is waiting for your command.